Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Shiv Singh, CEO at Savvy Matters and co-founder of AI Trailblazers. Shiv, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
Very well, and thank you for having me on, Epi. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We've been connected for a long time. We never had an opportunity to have a great discussion like this. So I was truly looking forward to this discussion. Given your background in marketing and all those different companies that you work with, we'd love to go a deep dive in terms of all this conversation. But first, let's go with what sparked your path into marketing and customer experience.
So, let me begin by saying that at the time, I didn't really know those words well or what they meant. So for a lot of marketers, or certainly some marketers, there was a brand that they loved as a child, and that got them curious about marketing, and they went into the field that way. For me, nothing like that happened. For me, I had a more fundamental challenge growing up, which is I had two very divergent but deep interests. I was deeply passionate about writing, at the time, fiction writing, and I was deeply passionate about technology. And I was incredibly excited about the dawn of the internet because it was the early beginnings of the internet, or rather the World Wide Web at the time. And I sort of stumbled into marketing, and it was first digital marketing because it brought those two worlds together. It allowed me to be creative and use my grasp of words and the written word and think about the internet as a medium or a palette or a canvas with which to express myself. And then I had to pay the bills. And when you put all those three pieces together, it led me into the marketing world.
That's amazing. So you mentioned about writing. Do you write like actually with a pen and paper now, or you're now mostly in the digital?
Less so with paper and pen. I'd say mostly in digital, because I actually write the fastest when I'm using a keyboard. But what's interesting in my case is if I'm doing what I refer to as thinking writing, I either have my eyes closed or I'm looking away from my monitor. And I don't need to look at the keyboard either, but that's the closest I get to the physical art of writing, the long lost art for the time we live in.
Yeah. I still do my affirmations. I just love taking a pen and my notebook and just writing my affirmations every single day. It just feels something special about it, right?
It's so incredible.
So Shiv, going back from Visa to LendingTree and now as a board member of at United Rentals, what have been some defining moments that shaped how you think about scale, brand, trust, and customer value that you create in marketing?
Yeah, I would say what's been defining for me in my career and has helped me immensely over the years is a few very specific factors. The first of which I've already hinted at, is to look at the world of creativity and writing and art and design and emotion, really as if it's one side of the same coin that also includes technology. We're used to thinking about them as very distinct and different domains. I think about them as one, and that's helped me a lot. The second is, and this is a simpler point even, is I've always reinvented myself. If there's anything to define my career, they're in 5 to 7 year chunks. And I've invested the time and the mental energy, often by leaving the corporate world to get another degree or to write a book, to reinvent myself, to prepare for the next era of growth. And that correlates directly with the career advancement that I've had. It's been sort of one step back to be able to take a leap forward. And then the third piece is the nature of brand building and what it means to have trusted consumer relationships and to do so on global scales. I've discovered over the years means being a really deep student of human behavior and human psychology. And Epi, I should mention, I have a little bit of a life hack in that regard. I'm married to a psychologist. So that helps me. At dinner every night, we're talking about people and human behavior and questions like trust. In fact, I wrote my second book with her, and it was all about trust. So that's a little bit of a life hack that has helped me
That's
too.
amazing.
But the point, Yeah, but the fundamental point is thinking more deeply than maybe many would, to be able to take a step back, to take a leap forward every now and then to look as expansively as possible across the different domains of business or different domains of marketing, and bringing it together in a single mental model is what has allowed me to, you know, have success when I've had success in the corporate world.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, your experience of all these brands, it's incredibly amazing. And now that you're advising startups and a larger corporation through your Savvy Matters and AI Trailblazers, tell us a little bit about like what type of advisory you're doing with these two.
Yes, happy to. Um, After I finished up at LendingTree, I decided to take a step back, as I'd done a couple of times earlier in my career. And I wrote my third book, which was on marketing with AI. And in the course of that writing that book, I interviewed probably 100 to 120 senior marketing leaders, a few agency leaders, a few startup founders, a few academics. And that informed the book. I finished the book, and it very naturally led into a series of consulting work with Fortune 500 brands where I've been advising the marketing teams and most specifically the CMO. Because what I bring together is both my experiences, having grown up in the marketing world at Visa, PepsiCo, LendingTree, and the Expedia Group, but then also having my finger on the pulse with the AI transformations and how it's changing business and changing the way we work, live, and play in pretty dramatic ways. I was really on the cusp of changing that. So that allows me and gives me permission, with all humility, to be able to advise very senior leaders in very large brands. And then simultaneously, what I also did, which is a natural offshoot or parallel, is with two other great guys, I co-founded this conference called AI Trailblazers, where we bring together marketing leaders, product leaders, technologists, VCs, and startup founders for conferences. And we do these two conferences twice a year in New York. And they're all through the operator lens, the application of AI in the real world. So it works very nicely with what I do for Savvy Matters, and then my writing and my book related speaking as well.
Nice. So not one book, not two books, but three books, man. That's a lot of time. It requires a discipline to get the book and get it on time. How difficult it is for a marketer, because everybody tells me you got to write a book, you got to write a book, and I'm like, yeah, but that takes a lot of time. And so I've been thinking about it, but I'm not ready there.
Yeah, I think the only way to explain it is I'm a glutton for punishment. And I joke with people that while I may not know what giving birth is like, I feel I know one aspect of it, because people say, as did my wife, that giving birth can be the most painful thing. But what's mind blowing is you forget how painful it is once you've given birth and you've had the baby show up. In some respects, writing a book is like that. When you're writing, it can be incredibly hard, especially because you're not just writing alone, at least with the books I've written. The publisher has a team. There's a technical editor, a copy editor, managing editor, an executive editor, and everyone wants to make the book the best possible book. And everyone is extremely smart, which means they also have a lot of opinions and there's strict deadlines. So you're working within a system. So it can take a lot. But really what matters most, and what I've seen as I've written these books, is, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We write books for a purpose. We write them for them to be read, for people to learn something, to be inspired, to be able to maybe change the trajectory of their career, or in some cases, their lives, or have a great impact on society. So when it's framed in that context, it would certainly help me through sort of my more challenging days when I have writer's block.
Yeah. So the book Savvy, about navigating fake companies, fake leaders, fake news. I often see that marketers today, they are are challenged not just with the competitors itself, but with so much noise out there that has become a very big competition. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, your book is very deeply focused on the situation that we're in right now, like with all these things what's happening. What are your thoughts on that?
So first and foremost, so Savvy came out in 2018. It was my second book, and that's the one I co-authored with my wife, Dr. Rohini Luthra. And when we were writing it, what we were thinking a lot about is the world that we're going to leave for our children, meaning all of us collectively, better than the world that we've inherited from our parents? And the more we thought about it and talked it through, the more we felt that there was a very real risk of the world being left in a worse place. We're losing control of technology. We have issues like climate change. Even though we're in the 21st century, we still have starvation, disease. There's a very real risk that the next generation will face unemployment levels that will be unfathomable to us. Recognizing that, we felt the book had a place and needed to play a very important role. What we also felt, and this is the hardest piece, and it still sort of pains me to this day, is, is that there are these large organizations and some of these leaders, these technocrats, these oligarchs, you can choose your favorite word, have such an outsized influence on society and on each of our lives in this time that it's nearly as if democracy is being corroded, whether that happened with social media or more recently with the role of AI and who controls the models and how the weights are designed and tweaked within them that then influences the way our brains work, the way we communicate, the way we interact, what roles we have in the world, all of those pieces. That the only defense, in a sense, is how would we respond ourselves? And that book is fundamentally about knowing how to confront the inherent biases that each of us have that may make us blind to what's going on in the world around us. So the book was written in 2018. It was in the context of the social media crisis and how the algorithms were creating factories of disinformation, but it continued to have importance. We saw it with, January 6th in the United States and how it was social media conversations that led to that horrific Capitol Hill incident in Washington, D.C. And when we fast forward to today with the large language models and the power and the influence they have, or even just yesterday with Grok and how it was spewing Nazi, anti-Semitic language, the idea that we need to be self-aware of the fake leaders, the fake news, and the fake companies couldn't be greater, and we have to build our self-defense around it. So that's one big part to it. The other big part to it is in the world of marketing and business, whether you're marketing to consumers on a global scale, whether you're in a B2B environment, whether you're navigating your internal corporation or your agency structure, whatever it may be, often you're dealing with fakeness of different types as well. And it's equally applicable on that scale too. And we, as marketers, as business leaders, need to have our radars up for how to develop deeper, more authentic, more human, more trusted relationships while not being caught up in the artificiality that exists around us.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. I mean, it's hard also to know what is fake and what's not fake, right? You mentioned about the who controls the LLMs and the algorithm behind that, and I mean the list goes on. And I think truly what needs to be is like every individual needs to equip himself with not having the intelligence or the emotional quotient, but also have the spiritual quotient and make sure that you are discerning with your gut, because sometimes not sometimes, but we see a lot of times we decide a lot with this brain, but we don't decide with our gut brain, right? And so I think a lot of things are really, I think right now they're in play that I see that a lot of people are having a hard time to discern what is right and what is wrong, what is fake, what's not fake. But that's for another subject altogether. But Shiv, this is a short format conversation. I always ask my guests a question about what does the word bold mean to you, and I'd love to hear that from you. What does the word bold mean to you?
For me, the word bold means having confidence, courage, and being able to forge forward in a direction that you may never have before and a direction that no one may have before. And to be able to do so smartly and with speed and with a good moral compass. I'm expanding the definition as
I
I
love
think
it.
about it.
I love it. And that's a great way to end, Shiv. Great seeing you. Thanks for joining me in this Bold Talk series. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, maybe in New York, or another great conversation like this. At the time, enjoy your summer. Have a great evening where you are and be bold always. Take care.
Thank you, Epi.